How's it going? It's Rocky. Welcome to week number 20 of our trading journey in the year 2024. There will be 3 topics that I'll cover today, and I always have the timestamp on the descriptions, so feel free to jump to the section that you're most interested in. The first topic is trading emotions. I'll go through a rough trade analysis on our trading for today, Friday. Second topic will be a drawdown update, and the third topic will be this week's performance. And before we get started, just a quick disclaimer, this is for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions. So the first topic for today is trading emotions. I'm showing the chart for today, Friday, and on the left is the time-based chart and the right is the tick-based chart. And what I want to cover here is just psychologically what I go through when I'm trading. And I'm just going to do a play-by-play on the trades that I did today. Not so much focusing on the technical aspect of it, but more on the emotional, psychological aspect of it and how it affected my entry and exits. So I'm going to label the 4 trades that I did take. So right here is the first trade. So I'll label that number 1. And the second trade is right here. So number 2. And the third trade is right here. So number 3. And the final trade is right here, number 4. So I'll do the same exact thing on the tick-based side. So trade number 1, trade number 2, trade number 3 is right there, and trade number 4 is right here. And the reason I'm showing both the time-based and the tick-based is just how I trade. And there are things that you see from one chart and not from the other, and I usually use both to trade. And if you are curious exactly how I do that, on the description of my link, I have one where I talk about how to validate your trade. But I don't try to promote how I trade. It's just one of those where if you're lost and wanted to try something, and you feel free to check it out. There's no catch other than I can't guarantee anything, right? So anyway, our first trade for today was a short. So this position was a short position. And on this trade, I actually managed to get 31 points. So that was a nice 31-point win on this first trade. However, when I traded this, I only traded it with my top step XFAs. I do use the trade Copier. However, I am trading the Apex performance accounts separate from the top step XFA because there seemed to be an execution problem when I trade them both right now. The difference between those two accounts is the top step is through Rhythmic. So I am using the top step with NinjaTrader Brokerage, but the data is with Rhythmic, while the rest of my evaluation accounts with Trade Day and Take Profit and my performance account with Apex is with Tradeovate, which is CGQ. So I'm assuming those data feeds are probably what's affecting it, because all in all these funded accounts are all simulation accounts, right? With the exception of my self-funded live account. That one is, that is not simulation. That is definitely live. So what happened with this first trade is I was able to take this position on Top Step, but I was hesitant to take it on my Apex performance account. So when I had this 31-point win, I had a little bit of a FOMO, right, on my Apex account, because that would have been a good $150 for each account. So now going through the emotions, after this first trade, it was a great win, but of course I had a little bit of FOMO. So that's what happened to that one. And on the time base, that's what it looked like. And on the tick base, you can see this movement a lot cleaner here. So the next entry that I made was a gain of just 4 points. So that's what it looks like on the time base side, and on the tick base side, it looks like this. And I'll keep both charts there and zoom in accordingly. On the time base chart, so now you see the emotion, right? On my previous trade, I had a little bit of FOMO. So with this one, I want to say I had a bit of an aggressive entry because I missed out. And I forced the trade a little bit on the second trade. So you can see that. So on this one, you can see there was a lot of drawdown that I had to survive because my entry was right here, 40,046. So that's the white line that I'm showing here. So a lot of drawdown. And then finally, When I was above this, that's the reason why I took a 4-point profit on this second trade. So that's the emotion there. And if you look at the tick base side, you can see there, even though I had that drawdown, I wasn't too nervous about it, but it still put a little bit of stress on me, right? And as soon as I had a profit, I took that and was done with it. So that's the second trade. The emotion of the second trade was an aggressive entry because I missed out on the previous one. Now on this third trade, we're going to talk about the next trade after that. When I exited, I noticed that the momentum is there. I should have left it alone. But because I was in a drawdown, I took that win too quickly, right? So on the third trade, I made sure to go in and I was able to, ride the wave, because once in a while you do get to ride that wave. So on that third trade, we were able to get a profit of 22 points. And this 22-point profit only lasted for about less than 2 minutes on this trade. So that's what happened on the third trade. It's one of those where I pretty much reminded myself, hey, just because you're in a tough drawdown, when the market is going a direction where your thesis said it would go, write it, right? You need to let it breathe. So with this one, I was able to take advantage of that, and we were stopped out in profit before this red candle, and that's totally okay. So after those 3 trades, I was already up about $100 per account, which is more or less my goal. I don't really have a dollar value goal. It's more of what the market will give me as long as I'm protecting my downward risk. And then my fourth trade is an overconfidence trade, because it's one of those where I was pretty psyched and happy with my performance so far. And normally I don't trade the last 10 minutes of the market, but with this trade, I decided to enter at about 12.50. So you can see on this trade here, the total profit that I got was just 6 points. And what's bad about this trade is I had a really bad drawdown again that I had to go through. Unnecessary drawdown of at least 20 points. And with it, as soon as I was above my entry, I made sure that I exited right away, because it was, last 10 minutes. I won't have any more time to recover if there was an issue, right? So this was an unnecessary trade, and the reason I wanted to run through this is because I wanted to show an example of how important your systems and rules are to keep you in check. And even though you follow all of those, you'll still have this emotions that you use based on your previous trades. So I like to say I have it under control, but I'd be lying if that's the case. But just being aware of it, that's a good thing, because you can then be aware of how you may adjust or improve the way you're trading. So just a TLDR, how my day was I missed out on the first one, so I had a FOMO. So second one, I was super aggressive because of that FOMO, but drawdown, so I exited too early. And on the third trade, I realized I exited too early, so I made sure to actually trade the market. And the fourth one was overconfidence. So you saw that roller coaster of emotions there on all these 4 trades. The second topic is an update on the drawdown of our 25K accounts. What I have up here is Trade-O-Vate. And I used to trade on Trade-O-Vate, but now since I have the trade copier on NinjaTrader, I just focus on that. What I do use Trade-O-Vate for is to give me important values, such as the distance to drawdown and the actual drawdown amount. So as you know, with Apex, it's a dynamic drawdown, where that drawdown is from your highest unrealized profit to that number where you would hit your failure. So now what's great is that the drawdown is back to roughly 1400. So last week when I had that horrible failure, that drawdown got down to about 300 to 400. So I'm pretty happy that I was able to regain that back closer to 1500. But the most important one is this drawdown value here. So what happens is when this number, which is currently as 24,152, when that gets to 25,100, that becomes static at that point. So at that point, hopefully we can then allow our trading to breathe a little bit, and I won't be taking such small profits. But that's the goal right now, is I just want to get to that static drawdown, so I no longer need to worry about this value on the right here. Third topic is this week's performance for week number 20, which I post on social media every day if you want to follow along. I have it on YouTube and on Instagram, Reddit, Threads, and Facebook as well. And these numbers that you see here, what I then do is I place it on Excel. So the values that you see here would be the starting cash for that day. And the numbers that you see here should be what you see on the right as well, from the screenshot that I post every day. And based on these values, I then add them all up. But the one thing I want to point out is my Top Step account. So you can see here on Top Step, pretty happy that we got that back to something positive, because we were at negative 600 to start the week. So I sum all of that up, and that brings us to this page. And based on this page, you can see our performance, it was a nice week. I'm pretty proud of this week. I'm pretty proud of the consistency. So I'm going to pat myself in the back a little bit there, where most of the days were pretty good. The exception is on Thursday. I'm not feeling well. So on Thursday, I only had 1 hour chart time. So I decided to only trade the Top Step XFA, and I did not want to risk the Apex performance account. So for the week, it's pretty amazing. It was a total of $10,018.32 on the funded account. So this is a pretty great progress. And if you look to the left here, when I'm looking at my running total, we did get to a negative a couple of weeks ago when we made the screw up. I'm glad we were able to recover that with a little bit of profit. So we're heading in the right direction. I just need to ensure that I keep my composure and patience and not change a thing. Next thing I want to share is my self-funded account. On my self-funded account, this is the one where I deposited $1,000 about a week ago. So you can see here on Thursday, I did not trade the self-funded account. As I mentioned, I only traded the Top Step XFA on that day. So it was a pretty good $305 gain for the self-funded account. And one that I always use to measure my success when I used to trade my self-funded account is your ROI, right? Based on the number from when you started to what your gain was. This was a ROI of 23%. So pretty happy with that. And hopefully I can continue this one and keep growing this self-funded account. So that's my content for the week. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you following my journey. Give me some comments and feedback to see how we can improve and do better. And hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.